Yes. Hello, everyone. A very good evening and warm welcome to all the Facebook viewers of Poornam Ecovision Foundation page and YouTube channel Apla Paryavaran. We are glad to announce that today is our 50th webinar. आज आपला 50वा webinar आहे. So this webinar series, which we have started since August 2020, is now completing 50th webinar of the series. So, commencing towards today's webinar, previously I would like to introduce you all to Purnam. So, the projects which we are running under Purnam Ecovision Foundation are as follows, as you can see on the slide. So, firstly, we have fabric upcycling project under which we collect old clothes and upcycled products are made from it. Secondly, we have e-waste and plastic waste management, where door-to-door collection of e-waste and plastic waste is done through drives on weekends. So if you're interested in any of these projects, please contact us on our Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn pages. Thirdly, we have green consultancy, under which comes composting, rainwater harvesting, and biogas units. So also there is sanitary napkin disposal unit under green consultancy, and the survey regarding rural and urban solid waste management is also done. So these are some of the flyers which we release before the webinars for announcement of the webinars. So as you can see, we mostly compose the webinar name, its speaker, and the details of the webinar which we are going to stream live. And these are some of the photographs of the webinars which we have previously conducted and some of the very successful webinars which we have conducted. These are very knowledge giving and informative webinars, and they are absolutely free of cost. So anyone from the throughout the world can attend these webinars on our Facebook page live on every Saturday, 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. So we have some bites from two very well-known and special guests. So let us just hear it from them.
Not visible. Yes.
To spread the message of environment conservation, Poornam Ecovision and Pune Municipal Corporation have been working towards this activity of awareness, in which the webinar series have been launched, and I'm happy that with so many webinars done in past, we will be soon completing 50 webinars. I think it's a great step towards the drives that are taken for plastic and specifically the e-waste also. We are happy that such organizations are coming forward and spreading the message and making Pune city a very clean and green city. Thank you.
Yes, so this one was from Mr. Mangesh Dighe sir. He is Environment Officer in PMC.
नमस्कार, मी अच्युत गोडबोले. पूर्णम इकोव्हिजन ही जी संस्था आहे ती संस्था पर्यावरण आणि कचरा या बाबतीमध्ये खूप मोठं काम करते आहे. लोकांमध्ये जागरूकता निर्माण करणं हे या संस्थेचं ध्येय आहे आणि मला वाटतं ते अतिशय चांगलं आहे. त्यामुळे मला हे काम खूप महत्त्वाचं वाटतं. म्हणजे मंडेरीकरांनी आणि त्यांच्या टीमचं कौतुक करावं तेवढं थोडं आहे, कारण हे काम खूप महत्त्वाचं आहे. आपल्याला कचऱ्याचा वाढता प्रॉब्लेम माहिती आहे, आपल्याला झाडं तोडली जात आहेत हे माहिती आहे, अनेक गोष्टींचा पर्यावरणाचा आपला जो ऱ्हास होतोय तो खूप मोठा आहे. मग इतका की या शतकाअखेर सोडूनच या काही दशकांमध्ये जर का 1.5 ते 2% जर का वाढ झाली तर बर्फ वितळेल आणि हजारो कोट्यावधी लोकांचे आयुष्य उद्ध्वस्त होतील. तेव्हा हा प्रश्न अत्यंत ज्वलंत आहे आणि त्यामुळे याविषयी लोकजागृती करण्याची अतिशय गरज आहे. त्या दृष्टीने वेबिनार्स त्यांनी ऑर्गनाईज केले. त्याचा 50वा वेबिनार हा 24 तारखेला आहे. त्या वेबिनारसाठी आणि एकंदरीतच या संस्थेच्या कामासाठी माझ्या शुभेच्छा. मला याबद्दल या कामामध्ये सहभागी करून घेतल्याबद्दल मला खूप छान वाटतंय. असेच तुम्ही पुढे जात राहा. फक्त एकच मला जाता सांगायचं आहे की हा सगळा पर्यावरणाचा ऱ्हास आहे तो आपल्या विकास नीतीशी अवलंबून आहे. आपण जी समाज आणि अर्थव्यवस्था आहे आणि ती चंगळवादी व्यवस्था आहे, आपल्याला सातत्याने आपल्या डोक्यावर जाहिरातींचा भडीमार, आपण वस्तू विकत घेतो, यूज अँड थ्रो करतो, या सगळ्यामुळे जे नद्या पोल्यूट होतात, हवा पोल्यूट होते, जंगलं कापली जातात, लाखो एकर्स लाखो झाडं रोज कापली जातात. तर हे व्यवस्था बदलल्याशिवाय आपल्याला होणार नाहीये, हे सातत्याने आपण सांगितलं पाहिजे असं मला वाटतं. पण एकंदरीत माझा या सर्व कार्यक्रमाला माझ्या शुभेच्छा. धन्यवाद.
Yes. So thank you so much, Achyut sir and Mangesh Dighe sir, for your wise words and appreciation for Poornam. Thank you for associating with Poornam Ecovision Foundation. So now commencing towards today's webinar, I would like to welcome Rajesh Manirikar sir to introduce us all to today's webinar speaker. Welcome, Rajesh sir. I request you to introduce us all to Laxmikant sir.
Yeah, thank you, Tanvi. This is great privilege to introduce Laxmikant sir. Before that, I just wanted to thank concerned persons and all the stakeholders of this campaign, rather this project of webinar series. The idea came in our mind during the period of last lockdown situation, that how we can reach to people with variety of subjects. So we had good partners like the Ecological Solutions. This is an organization working in biodiversity and ecological conservation. So they have also supported us in various ways in this webinar series. Obviously, a lot of speakers, almost 50 speakers. Laxmikant is 50th one. So these speakers have contributed their time and they have shared their knowledge on this platform, and that is a great opportunity for Poornam for presenting these subjects before our speakers and viewers, before our viewers and volunteers. Especially Poornam's work depends on a lot of volunteers. So we have around 300 plus volunteers working in various parts of city and obviously now in Maharashtra also. So with with the help of these volunteers, we are spreading this awareness about the subject. Also, this webinar series, so that lot of viewers are available for this webinar series. And obviously the words or the greetings we heard from Mangesh Dighe sir and Achyut Godrej sir. Thanks to them also, and not least but very important is the Poornam team, which is obviously working hard in making this 50 consecutive webinars without any break, not a single break in this entire 50 weeks. So that is very good achievement, and I must congratulate the entire Poornam team for this. And obviously, thanks for the viewers. With their support, we could achieve this 50th webinar. And obviously, we want to reach to more people with more subjects and more concepts in the environment. So that the theme of this webinar is opportunities, basically, in environment. So that more and more new people who are coming to environment and environment conservation can get the appropriate direction for finding their way, finding their career, and obviously finding their work towards betterment of environment. Now, coming to today's session, it is great privilege to introduce one of my senior, Laxmikant. He is basically master's in environment from University of Pune from 2000 batch. Obviously, my senior because with the with the information from him, I got I got admission, or rather, I admitted myself in this MBA in development management, and that was a good opportunity for me. So obviously, it is a good input and help from my friend Laxmikant. He has worked in many organizations, with many organizations like NERI, BNHS, CE or EMC. He has also worked with several NGOs and departments like Forest Department or Sahyadri Nisarga Mitra, GIZ, or CARE and other organizations. Basically, his interests are climate change, biodiversity conservation, wetlands, mangrove ecosystem, solid waste management, and related corporate social responsibility is also one of the important things. In 2008, he is recognized as Darwin Scholar based on Darwin Scholarship on Biodiversity Monitoring and Education, offered by Field Studies Council of Environment Education, UK. So that is a great achievement by him. Presently, he is working in Department of Mangrove. He is working presently as Senior Manager for Mangrove Conservation and Environmental Sustainability with Godrej and Boyce Manufacturing Company Limited. He is obviously working with technical knowledge with from his background and the social partnerships from the surrounding area. So he drives research, conservation, awareness activities, initiatives on mangroves, biodiversity, water, and municipal solid waste at Godrej. And besides this, he is also working in mangrove-related various areas. Especially, he is driving one. He is conceptualizing and managing Mangrove Conservation Alliance with Confederation of Indian Industries and Magical Mangroves Awareness Campaign with WWF India, CII for 8 states across India. So that is a great achievement and the consistency in the mangrove work that he is delivering for the mangrove conservation. So let us hear more about mangrove on the background of 26th July, the day of mangrove conservation. So let us welcome Laxmikant and hear more from his expert knowledge. Thank you, Laxmikant. Welcome to this platform. And also, I would like to request to our viewers that any questions you can type on your chat box so that those can be answered in later question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you for this generous introduction. Am I audible clearly?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Please let me know when my presentation is visible.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, is it visible now?
Not yet.
Is it online?
No, it is just showing that Laxmikant Deshpande has started screen sharing, but no presentation yet.
Okay. It shows to me I'm screen sharing. So ideally, not yet.
No, sir. No.
Give me a few seconds.
No, stop the screen sharing and reshare again.
I have reshared my screen. Now let me know. Visible now?
No, no, not yet.
No, sir, not yet.
Once again, full invitation पूर्ण आहे.
Not yet reshared. Is it visible?
No, not yet. No, it is not visible. Can you share to one of can you share the presentation to Tanvi? He can present from there.
Okay, you can WhatsApp me your email ID. I mean, I'll send immediately.
Okay. Till that time, you can start discussing if you feel so. Yes, it is visible now.
Is it visible?
Yes, yes, it is visible now.
Okay, thank you everyone, and apologies for the technical glitches. We live in this technology world now. So let's start. Let's not waste time and start with the topic, that is mangrove conservation need of the time, or what I always call this as a magical mangroves, because there are so many unseen, unseen secrets over here, and so much to discover that we always call this as magical mangroves. So I know that a lot of audience here is from Pune and scattered across the world. So main question that comes to our mind is, what are mangroves? Is it a single plant species? Is it a group of plants? Is it an ecosystem? Is it forest? The answer is everything is correct. Mangroves are one of the most ancient group of plants that have evolved on the earth almost 114 million years back. That is the time when, in fact, dinosaurs were still roaming around on the earth, which was Jurassic era. So when Jurassic era was ending, there was Mesozoic era, when this ecosystem started evolving on the earth, when actually life was shifting from water to the land. So whenever you hear about mangroves next time, do remember it could be a group of plants or a forest or ecosystem. Now, some of the oldest references to mankind are, of course, found in India with our rich history and tradition. So the oldest reference of mangroves in India is a temple in Tamil Nadu at Chidambaram. You can see an old priest worshipping the mangrove deity. And it is said that the sea was very close to the temple that time. And that's how the mangrove god started become very popular. Now, of course, the sea has retracted and we are far away from the sea here, but this is definitely one of the oldest references in human civilization. Mangroves are a group of plants that are spread across tropical and subtropical countries. 170 to 130 countries show its distribution. Now the question is, why are they found only in tropical and subtropical countries? So dear friends, reason for that is they are found in warm waters. One of the main requirements for mangroves to grow is water temperature should be at least 16 to 20 degrees centigrade. And that is why they are found in these tropical and subtropical countries. Let's quickly test our understanding of mangroves. Can you guess which of the states over here has largest mangrove cover? The hint is it is also the most popular mangrove forest of the world, not just India. It is very large in area. Yes, Sundarban. Sundarban in West Bengal is the largest mangrove forest in the world. And of course, the state also hosts largest mangrove cover. Followed by West Bengal, there is Gujarat, Andaman Nicobar, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, and then comes our own state, Maharashtra. So this is the status of mangrove cover as per 2019 Indian Forest Cover report. And one of the spectacular things about this forest is that Dr. Kathiresan, one of the pioneer researchers of mangrove ecosystem from Tamil Nadu, he has recorded astonishing more than 5,700 plant and animal species. So this is one of the richest biodiverse forests in the world, ecosystem in the world. Now, although it is very rich in biodiversity, trust me, life over here is very difficult. It is difficult for them because they are on the shoreline. They are the coastal forest. They are found on seashore, creeks, estuaries, islands, lagoons. And in these areas, the environmental conditions are not suitable for plants. First of all, there is excessive forest salt everywhere. The salt is in the seawater or in the soil, even in the air. The fresh water, which is main need of life, is limited in availability. Oxygen also is limited because most of the soil pores are covered with water during high tide, so limited air. The substratum is very loose because sea waves are dynamic, whereas land is static. So when a dynamic ecosystem attacks a static ecosystem, obviously during high tide and low tide, lot of soil movement takes place. And then there are very strong tidal and wind forces. Of course, we are facing cyclones and strong waves in Maharashtra itself. So I need not explain now what is the fury of these natural factors. But mangroves over 114 million years have evolved themselves and formed certain unique adaptations. So let us see how they cope up with this adverse environmental condition. Now they have some systems in their body which take care of the problem of excessive salt. For example, on their body, there are natural filters which will not allow most of the salt to come inside the body. Then their glands will store excessive salt, and they have salt glands like human body has sweat glands. These glands throw away excessive salts. So by these three mechanisms, by filtration, by storage, and by excretion, they take care of the excessive salt. The next problem that I told was the environment is very unstable and the soil is moving. So the extensive root network of mangroves helps in overcoming this problem. They have prop roots, stilt roots, buttress roots. These three roots give support to the parent tree and ensure that it is steady. They have breathing roots. Breathing roots are also called as pneumatophores. The main function of these roots is like a human nose. So they will absorb oxygen from the atmosphere during low tide and provide it to the parent tree. By doing this, the tree has overcome deficiency of oxygen and air in the environment. And then, of course, they have cable roots, which absorb the nutrients. Mind you, this dense root network of 5 types is not useful only to mangroves, but also to humankind, because this network stabilizes the shoreline from erosion, and it also acts as a filter for many pollutants. So with this, they extend the ecosystem services. One of the most amazing things about mangroves is their germination. You know, in normal plants, what happens is the fruit falls into the soil, the seed will germinate, and the tree will start growing. Now, this luxury is not available to poor mangroves because over here, if the seeds fall down, obviously they will float away with low tide. So mangroves have this adaptation called viviparous germination, in which the fruits will grow on the parent tree itself, which is called as a vivipary. The fruit will have primitive roots and shoots. The fruit will fall and fix itself into the mud, and that is how the mangrove tree starts growing. So the trees which have all these adaptations of salt glands, breathing roots, stilt roots, buttress roots, and vivacious germination are called as mangroves. There will be also certain plants which will grow in association with mangroves, but not show these adaptations. They are called as mangrove associates. Now, first of all, why worry about mangroves? You know, back to the conserve mangroves. There is a concept called ecosystem services, which is defined as all the benefits that we derive from species and for our ecosystem. Now, the economics of ecosystem and biodiversity has defined these ecosystem services into following types. First type is provisioning, that means providing. The mangroves provide us food through their fruits. Also, some of the species, the fruits are used to make pickle. The mangroves provide excellent research avenues. They also offer raw material like timber, tannin, wood, medicines. Many people are not aware, but mangroves also play a significant role in freshwater provisioning. Because by their having their own role in hydrological cycle in nature, they contribute to rainfall. They have excellent medicinal properties, which we will see in coming slides. They can give ornaments through pearls, and then of course livelihoods. So because mangroves offer so many services, these services are called as provisioning services. The next type of service is called as regulating, which means they regulate the quality of environment they are in. I'll give you just one simple example. At Godrej Mangrove itself, we had a research on carbon sequestration. We know that climate change problem is because of 6 greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide is one of them, and carbon is being emitted from many sources. Now, just at the south and north boundaries of our own Godrej mangroves, we have Devnar dumping ground and Kanjurmarg dumping ground. And trust me, these dumping grounds are emitting carbon dioxide day and night. When we had 1 year research on how much carbon these mangroves capture, Godrej mangroves, we were really pleasantly surprised. Trust me, every year the Godrej mangroves spread across few kilometers capture 60,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide. And so far, it has captured 10 lakh tons of carbon dioxide. Now imagine if the Godrej mangroves alone is capturing so much of carbon. What is the carbon being captured by mangroves in Mumbai, Maharashtra, and India? And by doing that, they are regulating the environment. As I said, they also prevent coastline erosion. That is also one of the environmental regulations. Mangroves being borderline forest, they support terrestrial diversity, intertidal diversity, and aquatic diversity. So whether there are mammals like wild boars and jackals and Royal Bengal tiger in Sundarban, or the coastal diversity like mudskippers, fiddler crabs, fish, prawns, and lobsters, or in the deep sea, they also help fish like mudskippers, catfish, and Bombay duck. So mangroves essentially are very, very important habitat for wildlife. Mangroves also enjoy some unique cultural services. For example, for recreation, ecotourism, mangroves are being now promoted. The aesthetic or the exercise service that mangroves provide. And then some of you might have heard the interesting story of Born Baby in Sundarban in Bengal, where the mythology goes like this, that the Born Baby goddess actually helped local fisher folk from the invasion of a foreign king. And this entire battle was fought in Sundarban mangroves. So even today, when fisher folks go out for fishing, they bow to the Born Baby and her brother and then venture out in the sea. So there are so many, interesting mythological stories about mangroves that offer this cultural service. Coming to the diversity of mangrove forest in India, we are blessed with many species. Our own state, Maharashtra itself, has almost 28 mangrove species. Let us have a look at some of the most common mangrove plants. Like one of the dominant species on west coast of India is grey mangrove, called as Tivar in Marathi. It is dominant for two reasons. It can withstand very high salinity, and it can also tolerate high amount of pollution. So we know that western coast, the western states of India are quite industrialized than the eastern states, and that is why grey mangrove is quite dominant over here. This is very common plant found across India. It has pungent, sweet-smelling flowers during monsoon, and the fruits that you can see in the image are actually used to make pickle by the local fisher folk. Its wood is also used to make boats and fishing poles. Then we have mangrove apple, Soneretia apetala, called as chippy in Marathi. Now have a look at the breathing roots of this particular tree. They are conical in shape and very thick than the gray mangrove that we saw. It also has white flowers, and because of the shape of the fruits, it is called as apple mangrove. Now, this particular tree can withstand very adverse conditions. So whenever mangrove plantation projects take place, this is one of the first species that is planted. So it is also called as pioneer species because it will start growing in a barren area, and with its support, the other delicate plant species will start growing. We also have one more mangrove apple, and this plant is special because this is state mangrove tree of Maharashtra. Some of you may be aware, like we have state fruit, state flower, state tree. Maharashtra is the only state in India that has designated the mangrove apple as state mangrove tree. And the uniqueness about this tree is it blooms in night and it is pollinated by creatures that are active during night time. So bats and many moths are the species that feed on nectar of this plant, and in the process, they also pollinate this particular plant. So this is mangrove apple, again, another type. That was Soneraceae apetala. This is Soneraceae alba. Then we have river mangrove. It is termed river mangrove because this plant is very delicate and it will grow more towards river side or more towards the land area. But the good thing about this plant is its rich, sweet nectar. And this nectar is so nutritious in its values that in West Bengal and in Orissa, this plant is actually grown purposely. It is planted and then apiculture is followed over here to collect nectar from these flowers. But of course, it's a delicate species, so it is found in less number in Maharashtra. We also have surkandar or orange mangroves, named because of the orange buds of the species. This plant can give excellent charcoal because the wood has very high calorific value. So this charcoal will give more heat than the charcoal produced from other woods. We also have red mangroves, very easy to identify. Look at the stilt roots. They are so tall, and this plant is again very different. In Bangladesh and in Sri Lanka, you know how we make tea using tea leaves in India? They actually use stilt root of this species and make the tea. So it's extremely valuable and very costly in those countries. This also is an excellent plant for plantation and to stop soil erosion. We have milky mangrove, or also called as blind your eye mangrove. Yes, you heard it right. It is called blind your eyes mangrove because if you pluck leaf of this plant, you will get milky latex, which has alkaloid chemical. If by mistake this latex touches your eyes, a person can have or suffer from temporary blindness. That is why it is called just blind your eye mangrove. But again, this milky latex has a chemical called alkaloid, and that is useful medicine for arthritis or for joint pain. That is why this is also a planted species and prescribed widely in Ayurveda, our own treatment system. Then we have miswak with sweet pungent berries loved by birds and human beings alike. The roots are used to make toothpaste miswak, and that is why the plant itself is also called as miswak plant. This is a mangrove associate plant. Then we have sea holly with spiny leaves, and one of the indicators of mangroves is its growth. If you find sea holly in large quantity, that means the local mangrove forest is degrading, the forest is dying, because whenever the other species die and the area becomes barren, then sea holly takes over. So, you know, nature has its own language of speaking to us, and we have to understand its hint. Mangroves also have some unique, amazing creatures. You can see something wriggling in the mud here. Is it a lizard? Is it a tadpole? Any guesses? No, dear friends, it's a fish. Yes, it's an amazing fish. that can stay out of water for many hours. The fish is called mudskipper in English or newty in Marathi. Very tasty local delicacy favored by fisher folk. When it is out of water, it will store water in its gill pouches. You can see the gill pouches are so large. So it will store water in gill pouches, and then also its skin will absorb oxygen from the air. So it can survive out of water for many hours. So this is mudskipper fish. Then we also have crab species in mangroves. This particular one is called as mangrove crab. You can see it is feeding on mangrove fruit also, on gray mangrove fruit. And trust me, although these animals are small animals, they play very important role in nature. They recycle the nutrients. You know, what they do is they eat these dead and decaying animals or fruits, and that is how they break complex nutrients into simple nutrients and make them available for the food chain. Mangroves have several other species. For example, like we had research in Godrej mangroves, and so far over the decades, we have recorded 209 bird species, almost 45 spider species, 82 butterfly types. Then we have 32 types of reptiles, 13 types of crabs, 7 types of prawns, 20 types of fish. So the list is almost never ending, and we are still doing research on the biodiversity at Godrej mangroves. So if a small patch has this biodiversity, again, imagine the kind of diversity we have in India. And the species in the image I have called as mangrove indicator species, because these are dominant in mangroves. They are either found only in mangroves or they are dominant in mangrove forest. That's why they are called as indicator species. So do check about these animals online, and you will find very interesting facts about them. We have again wild boar, grasshoppers, Indian grey mongoose, glossy marsh snake, catfish, golden jackal. As I said, it's very, very rich, and every animal has its own life story or interesting habits. Say, for example, the glossy marsh snake you can see in the image. This particular snake and python, our Indian rock python, they share the same habit. What they do is when they eat food, say for example, if this snake has eaten a crab, it will throw out the hard crab shell and the claws, and it will only gulp down the soft body part. Now, this is a very particular habit that is shared by very few snakes, and that is why it is a very uncommon snake. As I was explaining, there is so much to do research. So if you are a biodiversity student or you have research interest, you are a photographer, please do venture out in mangroves and click pictures, and who knows, you will discover a new species. Unfortunately, the mangrove ecosystem is also under severe threat. Mangroves are wetlands, falsely considered as wasteland. So in cities like Mumbai, Chennai, Ahmedabad, all the coastal cities, mangroves are in severe threat. Encroachment is one of the biggest threat on the mangroves. Say, either for infrastructure projects or for hut building, we keep on encroaching the mangroves. Even fish farming, we have realized that aquaculture sometimes becomes so unsustainable because mangroves are cut over here and the fish farming starts. And after 3 or 4 or 5 years, the salinity shoots up and the land becomes highly saline, where neither the fish grows nor mangroves can grow. So it's sort of unsustainable practice that goes. Then tree cutting, waste dumping. As I said, all the 4 dumping grounds of Mumbai are in mangrove area, and then untreated sewage. For example, one of the statistics says that in Mumbai city itself, only 40% of sewage is collected and treated. That means 60% of sewage is just being let in our water bodies being untreated. And if this is in Mumbai, again, imagine what is happening in other smaller cities where infrastructure is not enough. So mangroves are under severe threat. But fortunately, the importance has been acknowledged by the Indian government, and there are many laws that protect mangroves, whether it is Coastal Regulation Zone Notification 2011, Environmental Protection Act, Maharashtra Tree Act, Water Pollution Control Act, and Wildlife Protection Act. These acts have their own role to play. Some of them actually stop encroachment. Some of them stop water pollution. Some will protect the wildlife species, like Wildlife Protection Act. So by a combination of these acts, mangroves enjoy legal protection. But what we need is now stakeholder participation. We want more organization and more citizens to come forward and actually complain about mangrove destruction to stop the threat. At Godrej, of course, we have been protecting our own Pirochanagar mangroves for decades. In fact, we started way back in 1940s when mangroves were not even adequately understood. In 1985, the formal mangrove protection journey started, and mainly because of these three things. That is, we have commitment, the appropriate governance, and the infrastructure that we have. We have three-pronged strategy of scientific mangrove management at Godrej. First is research. So we do a lot of research on ecosystem services, biodiversity, interaction between the biodiversity, environment education, or how we can sort of give constructive policy inputs to government. So either this research can be short-term or long-term. Like for example, 2 years back, we had a camera trap study of golden jackal with Wildlife Conservation Society with their inputs, because we wanted to understand how many golden jackals we have in Godrej mangroves, how is their habitat, are they really protected, where do they move, what is their food base, prey base, and what can we do to further conserve them. So this 1 year study gave us a lot of inputs. As I mentioned, we also had carbon sequestration research in Godrej mangroves. So these are some of the research topics that we can take. One of the main pillars of mangrove management is, of course, conservation. We have 24/7 security that patrols the mangroves and ensures that there is no encroachment or no dumping of garbage or construction debris in them. We also have a small mangrove nursery where we grow mangrove plants. This nursery can be used for plantation, or it is also used to teach about mangrove species to our visitors. We maintain fire lines to ensure that there are less forest fires during summer. We also have 3 gardens around the mangroves. We have medicinal garden, a butterfly garden, and a palm garden. So our idea is to develop environmental infrastructure that will help in mangrove awareness. And then, of course, animal rescues, because we are so close to nature and mangrove forest. For us, having a snake or a wild bird nearby houses is definitely not a impossible thing. So we do rescue wildlife in our on our campus and safely rehabilitate it. Awareness, of course, is one of our major thrust area. We do environmental initiatives for our Godrej employees. For township residents, we have this nature trails that I mentioned, which are used. We conduct webinars. We also participate in many conferences and seminars. Some of you might have heard about the Mangroves app. If not, please go to your mobile and download the Mangrove Mobile App. I'm very happy to tell you that this is first mobile app of Asia, which described 67 mangrove plants in 11 Indian languages. Yes, we have taken care to translate the app into coastal languages so that not only educated people, but even forest guards or fisher folks can sort of learn about mangroves. So do check our Mangrove app in your mobile Play Store. Do download and send suggestions. We also have a set of posters that you can download and use. We have first storybook of mangroves called Many Secret of Mangroves. The book is available in both English and Marathi. So again, we thought that if you want to start mangrove awareness, let us start at very young age. And what can be better than storybook or stories to teach children about biodiversity. So Katie Bugley, the renowned child author, she has authored the book with support from Godrej. Do visit our website mangroves.godrej.com and you will find many of these such resources which you can download and educate yourself. I have already mentioned about the app, which is now in fact downloaded in 106 countries. So do check. One of the last questions that I wanted to address is, it's fine, okay, we are aware about mangroves. As a citizen of India, yes, we know mangroves are important, but what now we can do to save mangroves? What is our role as citizens? So our role starts with understanding and appreciation. Of course, you cannot conserve what we cannot understand. So please educate yourself with online websites, articles, films, and lectures. Fortunately, there are so many documentaries available on YouTube and other social media. Do check those websites, and you will find many more amazing facts about mangroves. Do participate in drives and conservation measures. Our own forest department, Mangrove Cell, or NGOs across Maharashtra, they do organize plantation drives, plastic collection drives, or some citizen science project. So you can participate in that. If you spot any mangrove destruction, whether it is mangrove tree cutting or poaching or say dumping of garbage, you can call this forest department helpline number, that is 1926, and register a complaint, and mangroves will take action about it for the mangrove protection. Do raise your objection. Two things that we can do sitting in our house. A, generating less garbage. Trust me, a lot of garbage and plastic finally ends into water bodies and our own mangrove forest. So if you segregate your waste, which is in fact, Poornam also is encouraging all the citizens of Pune to segregate garbage and compost wet waste and send dry waste for recycling. So as a citizen, if you can do this, the microplastic that is threatening wildlife, that we can contribute to reduce that threat. The other thing is, wastewater. As I said, that a lot of sewage goes untreated. So if we can use organic options or less harmful, less chemical options for our soaps, washing powder, detergents, utensil cleaners, we will contribute to nature conservation itself. So there are options available in market. Do find them out and use them. And that is the role that we can play as a citizen. So there are ways of direct mangrove conservation or indirect mangrove conservation. We just need to have more awareness about it. Before I end my talk and this session becomes open for question and answer, I would really like to gently remind everyone that, we are aware about our rights. As a citizen, we talk about rights. But our constitution also mentions about fundamental duties. And one of the fundamental duty in section 1 is that every citizen will protect nature, wildlife, forest, lakes, rivers, and living creatures. So let us, do our duties also while we are very aware about our rights. Thank you.